this is Maestro in Tune. My name is Abdiel Vázquez, and we just listened to the famous sextet from Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor. And this is a very, very recent recording. It was just made a few days ago in a performance of this opera in Williamsburg, Virginia. And here I am with the stellar cast that participates in this production, that's singing in this recording. And it's my pleasure for me to be with them here. Some of them I know for many years. Some of them I just met in this production. This is very common in the world of opera. So my intention is to talk little bit about what that is like. I want you guys to get to know them, and let's get started. First, this is Lucia di Lammermoor, 4 main characters: a tenor, a soprano, a bass, and a baritone. The tenor and the soprano are lovers. The soprano and the baritone are siblings, and our bass is the priest. So his only relation with all of them is of the spiritual kind. So if you want to introduce yourselves, hello.
Hi, my name is Edward Graves. I am a tenor from Oxon Hill, Maryland, and I'm singing the role of Edgardo.
Hello, my name is Anna Farysej and I come from Poland and I portrayed the role of Lucia.
Hello, my name is Yuri Kissin. I don't know where I come from because I was born in Russia, but I live in between France and Israel. And I'm singing the role of Raimondo, who is the priest.
Hi, I'm Suchan Kim, originally from South Korea. I live in New Jersey right now, and I'm singing Enrico from the Lucia di Lammermoor.
So as you can see, and as you know, I am Abdiel Vázquez from Mexico, and I live in New York. So this is very common. This is the world of opera. 5 people coming from completely different places with completely different backgrounds, all together by their love and passion for music and for opera. So I have a few questions for each of you. It's gonna be the same question, and this is just because it fascinates me when it comes to singers, to figure out why are they doing this at all, you know. And I know in my case, I got into piano because my parents wanted their kids to have an extracurricular activity. They never intended for this to be professional. It got out of hand. It got completely out of the control. So I discovered, you know, even though I started when I was 6, I really only discovered that I liked to play the piano when I was around 12. And I only discovered classical music around that time. But it was kind of a journey. But in your case, you guys are singers. So I'm gonna start with you, Edward. When did you even figure out that there was anything special about your voice, that you like to sing and that it was more than or better than the average person?
Yeah, so I've been singing for as long as I can remember. I started singing in church. I was in the choir. And my dad, he put me in piano and voice lessons when I was 9. I realized quickly that I was a much better singer than I was a pianist. We had like these recitals a few times a year, and I was always so confident when it came to the singing, but when it came to playing, my fingers would lock up and I would get so nervous. And I sang in choirs all throughout school, and when I got to college, I was intending to be a music teacher. And I auditioned for an opera that we were doing, and I was the only freshman that got cast. I didn't really think anything of it. I just was like, okay, sure, whatever. And then we went through the process, and I was like, this is really cool. So I talked to my professors, and I'm like, hey, I know that I said I wanted to be a music teacher, but I'm actually thinking of switching my major to voice performance. Do you think this would be a good idea? And they were very encouraging. I remember calling my parents to tell them, and my mom was like, why do you need a degree to sing in nightclubs? But yeah, so I was 19 then, and so I've just sort of been going ever since then.
I have some follow-up questions
Okay.
there. So in this case, you were already familiar with opera?
No, no. I had studied some Italian art song in high school, but my first experience with opera was the one that I was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were you normally singing when you were singing as a teenager?
Um, Popular songs, sort of jazz standards. Yeah.
It's amazing. No, I have to say it because I haven't said this about all of them. All of them have a successful career. All of them have a successful in national, international career, both in their places of origin and in different places of the world. So that's why to me it's fascinating. And in the case of, I know with instrumentalists, it's very common that we start very young, that we start as kids, and it's not so common
Yeah.
with singers. So
Yeah.
then you have to catch up with a lot of things musically.
Theory and
yeah.
ear training and sight reading and all of that.
Languages. So,
Yeah.
So I'll come back to you with
Okay.
that. Let's see with Anna. So how did you even discover you could sing or?
So it kind of sounds like our story is somewhat similar. It was, and also similar to yours. Like it started off as an additional activity, you know, after school. And since I grew up in Poland, there's an actual system for that. So there's a primary music school and then the secondary music school. So I started off with the piano when I was 6. I wanted to play violin, but I didn't get in. So they put me in a piano class, which was never really my intention and my wish, but you know, you kind of roll with it. And then when you're 10, you start to have the choir class. Like there's an actual, you know, class for that. So we've been singing in that choir, and we're going to the competitions. And at some point, I became a soloist of that chorus, and we were doing some Christmas carols and like some, you know, just choir pieces. And that's when I kind of discovered I enjoy singing much more, because the piano was always a struggle as well. I was super stressed out. I remember spraying my hands with deodorant because I was sweating so much. And I was like, you know, my memory was locking. Like it was just a nightmare. And
You were putting deodorant in your hands
yes,
to not sweat.
not to not sweat.
Nice. Okay.
Because it was really such a stressful experience that, again, singing was something that was of a relief for me. And that was also, that kind of came at the same time when me and my mom, we went to this other town for a production of Carmen. And I was probably 9 or 10 at the time. And we were entering through the backstage door because her friend was a light designer. And it was just magic, because, you know, it's like, you know, when you enter the theater right before the show, everybody's in the costumes. There's like ballet dancers running around. There's the chorus members. It's just like, you know, so many things going on. And then we were also sitting with him like on the top floor looking at the lights. So the whole experience was pretty magical for a 9-year-old. And since then I knew I want to eventually perform Carmen. So for a very long time I thought I'm going to be a mezzo, and I was really believing in it, and I was very persistent, like trying to be a mezzo, but I'm not. So that's how it kind of, you know, happened. And then I went to the secondary music school, and that was, well, with voice you have to wait till you're 16 till you actually go through puberty, because women go through it as well, obviously. So yeah, so basically I waited till I was 16. I did a secondary music school, like a post-normal, you know, regular high school. And then I applied for the university, knowing that I want to be in vocal performance, and here I am.
And you were singing. Were you familiar with opera? Or?
Yes. So basically, since that very first experience, it was my passion. I would read about it. I would take my mom to the shows, because at that point I was the one, you know, who was dragging my parents to see things. And
So like an 11-year-old Ania,
yeah, I was pretty
was
much
bringing
into
their
it.
parents to the
Yes,
opera.
yes. And then when I was in high school, I was very much like, I was a nerd. Everybody was like, all right, like you know, like, what's your passion? Yeah, it's opera. And everybody was like, okay, I've never been to one. So it was kind of, you know, I was a nerd at that time. And then I kind of drifted away from it, like mentally. I just kind of focused on the vocal performance itself, and I'm not a nerd anymore, to be honest. Like these days, I listen much less of the opera than I used to in high school. So now it's kind of like, it's work. It's not in that like passion, hobby group of activities anymore. Now
Yes.
it's work.
I have to say something, because I believe this is a common experience for, normally when you enter the conservatory, that's when you really get to meet like-minded people that have the same passion as you. But normally if you're like in a regular school with normal people, you're the weird one.
Oh, yes.
Because you're
Yes.
listening to all this music that nobody else
Yeah.
listens to, and have all this
Exactly.
passion that nobody else has. And if you think about it, opera is kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
So, okay, I'll come back to you with this.
Yep.
Yuri, how did you even discover you could sing?
Well, I'm kind of completely the opposite of you two guys, because my father is a violinist
Okay.
and my mom, she used to be a theater critics and opera and ballet critics.
So you grew up.
So I grew up really badly.
This explains a lot.
Yeah, so basically I started playing flute when I was 9 because my father, when I was 6, 7, my father told that I don't have enough talent to become a pianist and a violin player. And everyone knows his name in the city. So let's do something for dumb people. So I became flutist, but I was taken to it's called a young boys chorus school.
Okay.
But I didn't go to chorus because I became pretty successful flutist. So I was going to the chorus school without going to the chorus.
Got it.
Later in my age, and I continued with the flute. I went to the university, but I guess
As a flutist.
as a flutist.
Wow.
But I guess my energy wasn't fit with the sitting in the pit.
I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. So I started doing completely different things. I started performing as a stand-up comedian and comedian
I can
in
see that
clubs
too.
and everything. And one of the things I did was kind of at some point making fun of opera singers and making opera voices. And in the audience was the teacher from university that knew me. He's like, "You're the flutist, but you have a voice." I was like, "Nah, I'm making up. It's not real. You have a voice. I'm ready to work with you free."
Wow.
We started working. For 3 months we worked. I changed to singing in the same university. I closed the flute. I never opened again. 30 years ago. And thus I am an opera singer.
So let me follow up on this because you're like maybe in your early 20s. So when this happened, or
And I was
19?
19.
19. And before that, was singing a normal, like would you sing, karaoke or with friends or in the
Karaoke
shower,
friends I didn't sing, but I was screaming like my lungs off at home with the recording of Shalapin, who was the famous Russian bass.
And your parents, who knew a lot about music and opera, they never remarked on your voice or on your singing.
My father wanted me to be finally a lawyer or doctor, which is normal, but didn't work. But my mom was pretty supportive because she told me her best compliment was, I heard worst voices on the opera stage. You can try.
From a Russian mom, that's
This
not bad.
This is not
That's a good compliment. Yes.
So that's why I started performing, but I was doing many works till age of 25. Only in age of 25 I decided finally I'm going to do that.
To be like a full-time.
Yeah, because I was continuing performing as stand-up comedian, was writing sketches, writing in newspaper, speechwriter for politicians.
Wow.
So all this. It's not like speechwriter, so because I was a comic and they knew I'm good, they brought me the very dry speeches and they told me, make it alive. Make it fun, like I have a sense of humor.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's what my job. So, but then I moved to Paris. It was actually, I was born in Russia, then I moved to Israel and when I was 16. And in age 25, I was taken to Young Artist Program of Paris National Opera. And then I didn't have a choice. I became a singer.
That's kind of how we all feel a little bit. How you don't have a choice; it comes to you, right?
Captured, yeah.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Suchan. How did you even discover this?
I grew up at a church, and then I was like the boy who sits in the first row every Sunday, and then I was singing hymn with all the congregation, and then I think the conductor of the church just heard me, and then after the service, she asked me to sing a hymn in front of the congregation, and then I sang it, and then she just asked me to join the choir. So
How old were you?
I was 6.
6 years old.
Yeah, 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when I was 8, she asked me to do children's competition, like hymn competition.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did it. I got third prize there, and then I did the same competition 2 years later, and I got first prize there, and I got advanced to the next round. It was a regional round, and then I got first prize there, and I got advanced to the national round, and I got first prize there.
So you were how old?
I was 11.
11, and you were number 1 in all of South
Yes,
Korea.
yes, yes.
Wow.
How was
Yeah, I was a boy soprano.
A boy soprano, of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
And then, so you knew you were singing your whole life.
Yeah.
But then at some point your voice changed,
Yes.
and you still wanted to sing.
Yeah. After the competition, one of my church members showed me a video of 3 tenors,
Mm.
and then I was like, "What is this?" I asked her, and then she was like, "This is opera." I was like, "Yes, this is what I am gonna do."
This is it.
Yeah, just secretly. I didn't tell anybody, even my father, my mother. No.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did they think you were gonna be or do?
My mom really wanted me to be like medical doctor or something.
Hmm.
You know, Asian mother.
Yes.
But you know, I was like very like I really want to do this.
Yes.
So, and then secretly I applied for a high school for arts.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got in, and then I told my mom. She was like, she was not happy about it.
And when you say secretly, yes, you didn't tell your parents originally, but what about friends or a teacher, or was it nobody knew? Or
Only music teacher at my school. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She knew it. Yeah.
and what did she think? Was it like a little conspiracy between you two? Or?
She was very supportive. She asked me to bring my mom to the school, and then I asked my mom, and she's like, "Why?" And then you know, she came actually.
So she was ambushed.
Yeah.
But-
And then I think she told my teacher said, you know, he's young. Yeah, he has time to discover anything he can be.
Hmm.
So yeah, but
But you
Yeah.
you knew what you wanted to be.
Right, right,
Yes.
and then after high school, I applied for conservatory in Seoul. It's the best school in South Korea. And then I got in, but my mom still wasn't happy about it. But I and my mom argued over than 2 months,
Hmm.
and then finally I convinced her. So she allowed me to go to the school.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys, so this brings me follow up questions but I also want to share about myself, because two interesting topics come up. One is you brought up that the 3 tenors, and in your case you brought up that you went to a theater. So there was always like a moment when we are captured by specifically opera. Right? And sometimes it's also by classical music. I remember very clearly the first time when I was 6 in a museum, I heard a string quartet, and they were playing what I now know it's Mozart's Eine kleine Nacht music, the little night music. And I was fascinated by it. So at that time I knew I liked classical music very much. But opera, I don't know what was first, but the 3 tenors was a big thing in the World Cup of '94 when I saw that concert. And later I became fascinated with Andrea Bocelli. I remember that's when it captured me. So that's a question that I had with you that moment. You talked about 3 tenors. And the other question, if you guys want to start thinking about it, is about a teacher or a figure or someone, because that's where I also feel like there's a difference. There's sometimes a clash with parents, because parents want the best for us, and the best for us from their point of view usually is not to be an artist. But sometimes there's someone that actually believes in us, like a teacher, like a choir teacher, somebody who discovers us and sort of encourages us. So those are 2 questions. If you guys, if somebody wants to answer about this, I don't know, Edward, when.
Sure. So because I came to opera later, I felt like I was doing things in reverse. And so after having this operatic experience, I then am going to YouTube and trying to absorb as much as I can. And I came across 2 women, Leontine Price and Denise Graves. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, because up until that point, I didn't even know that Black people sang opera. I thought it was mainly like R&B or gospel, because that was what was common growing up where I'm from. And I was like hooked ever since then. And then I started talking to my family about it, and I realized that my grandfather was also a Leontyne Price fan. I've now later learned that he was also a Mario Lanza fan, and that around Christmas he would play his LP. And so my family grew up listening to it. I think it's just sort of funny how I ended up being the one in the family to be an opera singer. I think that's really funny. I think about my elementary school music teacher, Miss Hawkins, who always pushed for me to sing. Always. She always wanted me to be in choir. We had this honors choir in my county where I grew up, and she always recommended that I do it. And so, yeah, I think she was one of the first people to really just push me
Yeah.
to sing. Yeah.
I like how you talk about the role models. Well, two things, because in this case you didn't know that black people could sing opera.
Yeah.
I know in my case, like, I didn't see, for example, Mexican pianists being out in the world performing, or conductors. And when you see that for the first time, then you see that it's possible.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I don't know if the same is with South Korea. I know Russia has a big school. So you do, and you grow up with parents that are musicians, so you see it as a possibility.
No, I had a different issue.
Yes, go.
No, I had a different issue because as I'm Russian, but I'm Jewish. So there is a kind of thing for Russian Jews. Well, you could be great pianist, great physician, great violin player, great cello player. Singing, it's not your thing.
Okay. Yes.
Which is completely reverse in States, because you have some great musicians, but if you go to the golden era of Metropolitan, with a plenty, Beverly Seals, Tucker, Pierce, Merrill, Warren, was like number, but not in Russia. In Russia, it wasn't like violin. This is our thing.
Yeah.
That's what we're good at. So in the beginning, yeah, it was this thing. Yeah, but no, man, you're Jewish. What do you mean? Violin, piano, doctor, lawyer, but
Yes.
opera, nah. Conductor,
Yes.
if you cannot do none of those things. You know.
Exactly.
So basically, yeah, but actually I convinced that the funniest thing, you talk the teacher that pushed, it was actually solfeggio in academy teacher that was big fan of the opera and told me, Yuri, I know you're deciding now between a flute and a singing. And from listening both from sides, I can tell you could be good mediocre flutist and really good singers. And this is to you to choose. I was like, well, between mediocre and good, well, I go for good.
Yes.
That's what,
Nice.
that's what it basically was.
What about you, Anna? Did you have any influence teachers?
Yes,
or-
so that first chorus teacher I had, starting at age of 10 or 9, her name was Agata Spodniewska-Kanarek, and
Say that
she
again.
was Agata Spodniewska-Kanarek,
Okay.
a very, very nice lady who still actually teaches at the same school where I went. And she was just an amazing pedagogue, and she kind of hooked me, into singing in general. But then later on, there was this secondary music school teacher who was a baritone, and overall, I had many baritone teachers, and I really appreciate their input.
baritone brother.
I have a baritone
Yes.
brother right there. So his name is Mirosław Kosiński, and he actually sang at the Opera House in my town, and he was very supportive. He kind of he was like, okay, you're gonna, like, you can do it. Like, you are, I see that you're very passionate about it, and I feel like you can have a shot at the vocal career.
Yes.
So yeah, so they were very supportive.
And does Agatha keep track of your career? Is she up?
Well, yeah, I guess in a way, yeah. I actually went to because I was a different town, because we were moving when I was a child. So that town where I went to the primary music school, I had a concert there a couple of years ago when I sang Mozart's Requiem, and everybody came from the school, and then all those teachers, including my piano teacher, came, and they were very. Very excited and very happy, and she was like, "This is amazing! Like, I always knew you're gonna end up singing."
Nice.
Like, that was like, she's like, "I knew you can do it." And I remember she told my mom that I think Ania can be a coloratura soprano, which was like the first person, because later on the secondary music teacher, he actually thought I'm gonna be a mezzo. He kind of like, I persuaded him that, hey, I'm a mezzo, and he kind of were going in that direction. So she was like the first one to really hear that there might be some
How old were
higher
you?
tones potentials. 10.
You were 10 and she thought you could be a
Yeah.
coloratura soprano, and she was
Yeah.
right.
Kind of, because I'm lyrical
Yeah.
coloratura. I'm not the typical coloratura, but yeah.
coloratura and mezzo. So.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's it.
That's very impressive. What about you? Any teachers or figures? You
Yeah.
mentioned that one person, right? That
Yeah,
you were 6.
every teachers I had, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was the conductor of the church choir.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just, you know, pushed me to do competitions. And then my first voice teacher, yeah, he hit me, because you know kids, you know
Okay.
they don't practice. You know, I just one day I came to his studio, and then I sang it and he didn't like it, and then you know I have to hit you, I have to smack you, but
Russian school.
yeah, this is not why. This is not. I don't like you
Uh-huh.
because I love you. This is the love of the.
Tough love.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So he hit me, and then after that, you know, I had to practice.
I mean, this explains why you're always the most best prepared. You know, it's like I'm glad you were able to transform this into something positive in your life.
You have a baton, you know.
I mean, but now that I know this is a possibility,
Yeah.
you know, it's make things.
And then my teacher Arthur Levy, you know, after the school, I didn't have many jobs.
Yeah.
So
Now,
he-
Arthur Levy, this is in New York.
Yeah, New York,
Right?
yeah.
Yes.
he gave me free lessons for 4 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And then he still believes in me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, to give context, I mean, this is a teacher. I know him because he teaches at Manhattan School of Music.
Right.
I know he also teaches at Mannes,
Mannes, yes.
probably, plus private students.
Right.
And we all know, anyone who has studied with the teachers in New York knows how expensive this is. We're talking about anywhere between $100 to $250 a lesson, especially at this level. So it's a huge thing for someone to give lessons for free.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was worth it.
Yes.
He's amazing.
So this is kind of really
Give the microphone.
that really someone that believes in you. That's what I mean. Like if somebody studies for free, it's kind of a sign that he sees the future in you. No, it's okay. Thank you for holding it.
Yeah. So I'm so grateful.
Yes. No, I have this experience with, I think every single teacher I've had has had a big say on me, because I always struggled with believing that I could do this. So in my case, like I feel like I owe everything to my teachers, both in piano. I have my teacher in Mexico, 2 teachers, in conducting, and also with coaching, with being in opera. Mignon Dunn is probably the one person that really guided me and made me sort of believe in myself. We could start sort of wrapping this up, but I wanted to ask also all of you a little bit about how is it now? What's the life like as an opera singer? We all know, we talk about it. There's a lot of struggles. There's a lot of insecurity, in the sense that life is not secure. Rarely. Actually, you have to become friends with that idea, that feeling that you don't have a permanent job, and you don't know what your life is going to be like in a year, in 2 years, etc. And you always, of course, have to keep yourself at the top level, right? Because you're only as good as your last performance. So I'm throwing a lot of you guys, but I also know how much we enjoy to do this. Like, we really, really love doing what we do. So I don't know who wants to start to share about what's the life
Let's
like
go the direction.
for you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's been, uphill battle
Yes.
for me, because I moved to the United States, and then actually I got my professional debut in South Korea when I was 24, and then I was like, oh, I can't do this, but and then I had to join the army in South Korea after that, because it's mandatory South Korea for men, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And then since I moved to the United States, I didn't know anybody, so I just wanted to make some connections with people. So I did some summer programs like the Merula program, and then I made some connections. But after all the like schools and programs, I couldn't do anything. So I sang for free a lot. Um,
I think we all have, yes.
right.
Yes.
Because I wanted to put my name on the surface of the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. So I sang for free a lot, and then finally I got a like real job from Opera in Williamsburg. Yeah, it was my first gig ever after school.
Here.
Yeah,
How long ago was that?
it was 10 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, I sang Enrico.
This Lucia
Yes,
di
yes.
Lammermoor.
That's why he's so well prepared.
Yes, so you've been studying this role for 10 years.
Yes.
It took just 10 years.
It took 10 years
Well,
to finally get it.
But I did Enrico when I was in South Korea as well.
Wow,
Yeah.
so this role has been with you
Yes,
for a
yes,
while.
Yeah, for a while.
Very nice.
Yeah. But sometimes I don't have jobs. But I have to do something. So I practice. I look at the music, and then I just interpretate everything I can do. Like conductors, conductors always find the reasons for all over the music, right?
Yes.
So I do that kind of things all the time, and if I don't have any jobs, that's the only thing I can do.
Mm.
So yeah,
That's how you keep yourself.
yes, improve myself, and then just I wanna be a better singer every day. So yeah,
Very nice.
that's my pleasure of my life. So I just keep doing it. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
What about Yuri?
Well, I wouldn't say it's like going up the hill. For me, it was like, how we call it, Russian.
Roller coaster.
Yeah.
Roller coaster.
So it's like,
Yes.
like till age of 25 when I was living in Israel, as I told, I did many jobs. So it was most for the pleasure. I sang in opera and there, here and there, but I did so many other jobs that I didn't think money-wise and career-wise about this. But then when I got accepted to Paris Opera, I had like huge jump to the hill, right from like nowhere. And I sang, I spent like 12, there's no fixed job here, but if they know you, they re-invite you all the time. So I survived like 3 directions there. The 4th one I didn't. They wanted to renew everything. But I sang like, I think 329 shows on the stage of Paris Opera.
Wow.
Sounds like a lot.
Yep.
Yes.
And then it was like back to the reality. You don't have this opera house, which is like one of the best in the world. And I have to restart my career, which is not easy in certain age because like as I'm a bass. So basically mostly old roles. So I don't look old. And in age of 35, I looked even younger. So it took me a while, but I'm kind of back to the career level. It's nice, it's beautiful, I meet great people, and luckily now I know more or less my future like 2 years before, which is like already pretty good stuff.
It's more than
More than
many.
yeah.
Yes.
There is also, as I live in Europe, there is also possibility always there to go to the Nordic European countries from Germany and Northern. They have troops, they have like the fixed ensembles, permit work. There is also this thing, but I don't want to live in the countries with the gray skies, so I like sun. So the only plus and a minus of the career that I'm traveling a lot. So it's kind of hard. I'm maybe at home, I'm like 3 months in a year, which is not easy.
Yeah.
But it's also everywhere becomes your house and home. So you have to prepare you not just physically to learn the rules, but also mentally, because you have to know new country, new food, new people,
Yeah.
place that maybe you'll never see again. But kind of, I always think about this when I'm going to be old. I will have something to tell to my grandkids, at least.
You definitely will.
So this is my view of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it is a roller coaster because sometimes you're on that wave when you finish the show or you're working and it's a good role for you. You feel like you can do anything, and then there are times where there's no job at all. And to me, it's usually kind of a depressing time, and it's really hard for me to actually get myself to work and to sing and to practice every day, because if you don't see something coming up in a near future, like I don't have that persistence and that grit which Suchan has. So I kind of get into this procrastination mode, and you know, and it's just depressing. But it is what it is. I kind of got used to it at this point. That's just the cycle I go through, and then there's something on the horizon. So I get myself to work. I get excited for it, and I get prepared, and then we're doing a production. It's fun. It's not easy because all of a sudden, like, you're in that full work mode where you sing for a couple hours a day, and you are at the rehearsal for 8 hours a day. So it's tiring all of a sudden. So that's the thing which is challenging in this profession. That there are those periods where you do not work, and you're kind of the boss of your own time, and you can just be very much in balance, like physically, and all of a sudden you have those like rehearsals and which are very tiring physically and then therefore also mentally at some point. So I think like that's the challenge in this job. So I guess I keep myself insane. I actually don't keep myself insane. so uh, so um, so yeah, so that's it. But I mean, my path was, after school I went back to Poland because I graduated from Manhattan School of Music, and then I went back to Poland because I thought, first of all, I was tired of New York City. I was tired of like lack of opportunities, and there's so many wonderful singers in the city. There's so many graduates every year in America that it's just looking at it statistically, it just doesn't make any sense to stay. So I went back, and that was the best decision, actually. I had a wonderful teacher who I still work with, Eugenia Rezler, and she kind of put me back together, first of mentally, to not give up, because I was on the verge of giving up and changing completely. So she kind of kept me going, and she worked with me on some rep, and that's where I got my first. I mean, not first, because I got some professional gigs in America before I left. But these were very small companies, and it's almost like it's not like, apart from like putting the role in your resume and like having it sung, I don't think it's gonna bring anything further to like redevelop your career. So I went back to Poland. I was hired in my hometown as Fraskita. So I
You
made
you
my
did Carmen.
Polish debut in Carmen. Yes.
Nice.
And then it kind of word of
Yes.
mouth, you kind of get other jobs, you audition, and I've been pretty occupied while I'm in Poland, and like really this is my return after 10 years, 9 years here to America, while I'm doing like a full role in a staged opera, because the last time I was doing those, it was, I think, 2015. I had an episode with St. Louis Opera, and I did some things there, but really to sing a main role, main soprano role, the title role, is the first time in America for me to do after 9 years. So
Nice.
it's fun.
Yes. So you're in the good part of the cycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, I really resonated with a lot of what you guys said. So I just finished the Adler Fellowship at San Francisco Opera last year, and while I was in the program, I thought it was a really stressful 2 years because there's such a big microscope, I feel, and you get to see some of the best singers in the world and just be around them. And what I began to do is notice what it was that they did differently, what it was that set them apart. And I felt like it was their artistry. And that's something that I don't really feel like it can be taught. It's something that is within. Another thing, they really focused a lot on the mental aspect, as you guys have talked about. And so we worked with life coaches to help us just sort of talk things through. And I still have a life coach that I actually had a session with yesterday before the performance, just to help get my
Nice.
head right. because there's so many things that, you know, can influence how you show up to work and influence your performance. I've been really fortunate this year to have work, but it's been very uneven. It's either a lot of something or nothing at all. So earlier this year, I did my first Duke in San Jose. That's where I met Jorge and how I got here.
That's a Rigoletto, right?
Yes.
Verdi and,
Yes. Something that I was very scared about just because of the like iconic role, and everybody knows those arias, and you know everyone has their favorite, probably Pavarotti, and you know just trying to live up to that, but then make it my own too. I got to do my first Alfredo in Tampa, and that was cool because I had covered it when I was in San Francisco, so there wasn't the same rush. I don't know how you guys are with learning new music in a short amount of time, but I found that this year I've been having to learn music while on a gig, which is not always fun. So I'm hoping to get the opportunity to just to repeat some things a couple of times so it's less stressful. And I got to do my first Ottavio, and then there was like 3 months of nothing. And I thought, I'm gonna lose my mind. What am I gonna do? I started a garden. I was,
Wow.
which was unsuccessful because the deer in my neighborhood ate up all of my tomatoes. Yeah, yeah. Just like the deer in
I
Williamsburg.
mean, it was
don't know.
successful for the deer then.
And it was nice to be home because that was the first time I had been home for that amount of time since I left for college. So it was a good like 15 years since I had been just home with my family, seeing them every day. And now I'm back to performing. Yeah, so it's just like being able to appreciate the downtime. And I know that it's not always happy because if you don't know what's coming up next, it can be like, okay, I need something to keep me going. But I was appreciative of the downtime. And yeah, I just sort of take it a day at a time. That's all I can do, and just try my best. Yeah.
Guys, this is really great. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna tell you a story, all
Okay.
of you, because you don't know anything about this. But I did consider at some point, very slightly, to be a singer. And this came about the first time. I mean, everyone, none of my family is musician. No, there's no professional musicians, but everybody in my dad's family sings. And they actually have nice voices. My dad has a nice tenor voice. He can play the guitar and accompany all his brothers too. So singing is like a part of the family. Singing, nothing to do with opera, you know, just popular things. And one time, when I first came to New York in 2007, a friend of mine brought me to see Romeo and Juliet, Gounod. And that was Roberto Alagna and Anna Netrebko were singing. Light cast, yes, and Placido Domingo was conducting some, yes. So then she knew Roberto Alagna, so she had gotten a backstage pass. So she brings me backstage, and of course I'm like fascinated because I just came to New York and I'm already meeting all these stars. And we open the room and Roberto Alagna is there. He's very handsome. He's not wearing a shirt, you know, but he's like welcoming people into his dressing room, like, oh, hello, how are you? Yes, yeah, no, he's flexing, and he had done amazing that night, and Anna Netrebko too. And my friends, he's like, here, I introduce you my friend, and I say, oh, Maestro Alagna, congratulations. He's like, ah, you're a tenor. And I'm like, no, I'm a pianist. And he's like, no, you're a tenor. I can hear it in your voice. So then that stayed in my head. And I sometimes would tell this story to other people, you know, and finally I ran into this woman, this soprano, also Russian Israeli called Anna Skivinsky, who you might know, and she
I
just
was studying with her
there you go.
30 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so Anna Skivinsky in New York, I tell her about this, and she's like, well, have you ever even taken lessons? And I was like, I haven't, and I don't think, I mean, I'm very happy as a pianist, I'm very happy as a conductor, and she's like, no, but you should at least try it just to know what singers go through, to know what it is about. And I'm like, sure, I'll be happy. She's like, I'll teach you one lesson for free. So I go to the lesson and she tells me, you, first of all, find your support, find your resonance, say, hey! And I'm like, hey. So I do that and she's like, exactly. And I'm like, I'm just screaming. She's no, this is how it is. And then she starts vocalizing me and we find my passaggio. And I go to a high note, I reach a B flat, a high B, and I'm doing great. So I get very excited at the end of the lesson, right? And she's like, it is very beautiful. And she tells me, this is actually beautiful. It's a beautiful voice. Think about it. So I come home to my wife, I come home to Elena, and I'm talking about this, I come home and I start explaining how all of this story, just like I'm doing now with excitement, and how this connects with Roberto Alaña, and maybe this is, and 45 minutes, an hour later, of talking about my voice and the passaggio and the high notes and the world of opera, I realized that for the last hour I've been talking about my voice. And now, if this is after one lesson, imagine how it must be if I dedicated my life to it. So this is like, nope, I cannot let this happen to me. I'm gonna leave this to the singers. And that's the end of my story, guys. But I respect what you do. It's super difficult. I had one lesson to know like how insane it is to stand in front of people and just like sing your heart out. So I respect everything you do. I've been enjoying this process very much. We have a last performance tomorrow. It's insane that we're able to put this together in 2 weeks. And it's gonna be great, and I wish you all the best. And I'm gonna repeat your names for whoever is listening. That's Suchan Kim. And I'm gonna put your social media in the description of this. Suchan Kim, Yuri Kissin, Ania Farysej, and Edward Graves. And we're gonna listen to the finale of the second act of Lucia di Lammermoor, the famous finale. This is Maestro in Tune. My name is Abdiel Vázquez. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.